even when it doesn't look like the outside of this box, when it doesn't look like the big picture and it's in pieces, do you truly believe that it's working for your good? Do you truly believe that the bad, the good, the ugly, the in-between, that it's all merging together and it's all shaping you and molding you into who God called you to be? One of my favorite Bible stories is the woman with the issue of blood. And it's not even for the obvious reason that she had relentless faith. That's one part of it. She stopped at nothing to get what God told her she was going to have. He told her she was going to be healed, and she stopped at nothing to go get that healing. But I think my favorite part of that story is the fact that she was willing to expose herself. She was willing to be transparent. It's so easy for us, especially church folks. Somebody asks us how we doing, and I'm blessed of the Lord, and I'm highly favored, and I'm just so... And sometimes you say that, but you know, we got to be transparent with each other. We got to be real with each other. That's what we're here for. If your brother or sister is sinking, you got to be able to go to them and say, you know what? I'm having a bad day. Can you pray with me? Can you strengthen me? Can you encourage me? Can you remind me of the promises of God? We got to be transparent. The woman with the issue of blood, technically or legally, she wasn't supposed to leave her house. Like, she was considered to have leprosy. She wasn't supposed to leave her house, but her faith was that strong and that relentless that she was willing to expose herself. She was willing to go down because she said, if I go down, at least I go down knowing that I got my healing. Knowing that I'm no longer going to struggle with this. Knowing that I will be free indeed. And so I look at that story, and something that sticks out to me is we never know what her name was. The Bible doesn't give the woman with the issue of blood a name. We know her by her issue, but we don't know her by her name. How many of us are allowing our issue to rob us of our identity? Wow. How many of us are allowing our issue to be the thing that people know us by? Oh, that's the boy that struggled with that. Oh, that's the girl that's always in the club. Oh, that's the boy right there. He was in jail for 30 years for doing this. Are you allowing your issue to rob you of your identity? Wow. If you are, I want to go back to the question, do you truly know who you are? Because you cannot produce until you know who you are.
That's right.
You cannot become who God called you to be until you know who you are. You can't yield to the process until you know who you are, because you got to know who you are so that you know the process that you got to go through to get to who you are. Yeah. And so I really believe that in this season that we have to truly be relentless people. We got to be people that won't stop at nothing to see God manifesting the supernatural over our life. Yes. We got to be people that are going to believe God to do the impossible in our situations. We got to be people that no matter what comes our way, no matter what the enemy throws our way, we got to be people that will rise up and be relentless, because in this season, the world is looking at the kingdom. They want to know how we're going to respond to all the things that's going on. Yeah. They want to know, are we going to truly exercise that faith that we so vividly speak and preach to other people? Are we going to truly live that? And so every time I'm going through something, I always think, if I'm preaching faith to other people, if I'm imparting this encouragement to other people, how can I not be the one to live it? And if I ask God to make me a man of faith, I'm also asking him and telling him, whatever you got to take me through to get me to that, I'm surrendering to that. I'm yielding to that. Whatever you need to do in my life to make me be all that you called me to be, I'm yielding to the process no matter how that looks. And in that process, I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to know that you're intentional. I'm going to know that you're going to make ways out of no way. I'm going to know that you're going to keep me in perfect peace, because in that process, I'm going to keep my mind stayed on you. Yeah. All right. And so I want to go back to that question that I asked y'all in the beginning. What are you trusting God to do for you? And are you relentless and stopping at nothing to work side by side with God so that he can do it for you? All right. Really think about that. Are we willing to do what it takes to get what God has promised us? Amen. This year alone, I faced, oh my God, so much opposition. I walked in my store one morning, the whole store was flooded. Lost everything. And I was at a place where I said, God, we just got over the last disaster you put us through. And I got to a place where I said, I almost wanted to give up, but I had to remember that I had to keep that relentless faith. And, oh my God, God will truly show you things in the midst. He will truly show you that he's there with you no matter what you're fighting for. He will truly show you that he got your back and that he has his hand over your situation no matter how bad it looks. I can give y'all plenty of stories of plenty of people that have came and spoke things into my life. I can give y'all plenty of examples of how I know God had his hand on me during I'm not even going to go there right now. I'm just going to tell y'all that if you truly pray and you truly believe and you have a boldness about it and you're relentless about it, no matter what comes your way, God is going to preserve you. It's going to be a promise that preserves your life. Just last week, this was just last week, and that's what I'm telling y'all, I'm in the process right now. I done overcame some stuff, but I'm still in my process. And just last week, I was so close to giving up. I said, God, this is just too much for me. There's been plenty of people that have came and offered me 6-figure jobs. They're like, oh, you got the talent we need. And I'm like, I can take one of these jobs and I can be complacent and live just like other people, but I know I wasn't called to live like other people. I know I was called to do what God called me to do. And we can't compare ourselves to other people. We can't compare our puzzle to somebody else's puzzle because we don't know what they went through to get to that. And so just last week, I was so discouraged. I got up and I said, you know what, God? If you want me here, I need you to do something so crazy, something so supernatural over this situation that I know it was nobody but you. And as I was on my way to work, I was listening to Tasha Cobb's Jesus Did It. And I said, I want one of these kind of testimonies by the end of today, or I'm giving up. And so I'm at work, and a nice couple comes into my store, and they're talking to me, and they're just like, we want to encourage you, young man. And they didn't know I owned the store. They just wanted to speak life into me. They left out, and literally 5 minutes later, that same couple came back, and the man said, can I pray with you? I said, absolutely. He started praying over me, and he started just speaking all these things. I knew it was the Spirit. He left out again, and then his wife come back with a big smile on her face, and she says something to me. She says, I want you to know that God has not forgotten about you. I want you to know that no matter what you're facing right now, that God is with you. And she said, I left out of this store, and the Holy Spirit told me to do something, and I'm going to be obedient to doing what the Spirit told me to do. So I'm standing there, I got this like dumbfounded look on my face, like, what? She's like, I'm like, y'all prayed with me, you know, I appreciate that. And she says, write your name on this piece of paper for me. So I write my name on a piece of paper. You know, I go about my day. I'm trying to close out my drawer because I'm really trying to go home. And she pulls out her checkbook and she says, man of God, I'm writing you a check right now for $1,000 because I want to sow into your life. I want to sow into this business. I want to sow, and I want you to know that no matter what opposition you've been facing, that God is raising this store up. He's raising you up. And she said, I want to put my seed here because I know God is about to do something so crazy, supernatural. And just that morning, I was asking God, I said, I need you to do something so crazy that I know that it was nobody but you. I need you to do something so crazy to remind me of why I'm here and remind me why I have to keep fighting and doing it. And so I really want y'all to know that when you yield to that process, even in the midst of the process, even in the midst of the uncertainty, that when you know that God is on your side and you know that you're in the right place, that no matter what comes your way, no matter the opposition, no matter what you are facing, that God will He will literally set some things up for you that will blow your mind. He will literally send people to remind you. He will literally send people to plant seeds in your life to remind you that you're in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. We got to stop getting discouraged. We got to stop, trying to give up at the sight of opposition. We got to stop giving up 3 feet away from gold.
All right.
How many of us have gave up 3 feet away from gold? And then we see somebody else walk out the same promise that God gave us. We just vessels. And if we're not willing to surrender to let God do it through us, He's going to choose somebody else to do it through. And I refuse to not be all God called me to be. I refuse to see all the seeds that I've planted. I refuse for somebody else to just literally 3 feet away from that and they able to walk in what I'm supposed to walk in. Because I wasn't surrendered enough to allow God to do that for me. And so I want to ask y'all again, what are you trusting God to do? And are you relentless in going after what God has called you to do? I'm 23 years old. I got a long ways ahead of me. I got a lot of visions and dreams and promises and all these different things, but one thing I will tell you, the age, that's my age, but the wisdom that God has given me in this season is beyond that, and I thank Him for that. And even to the young people here, I want to tell you that for us, time is drawing near that Jesus is coming back, and so our processes are going to be a little more expedited than some. And so you got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for the wisdom that God is going to download into you. You got to be ready for the promises he's going to download into you because it's work that got to be done. And he got to use us to do it. I've heard so many people say that our generation is in trouble and, we doing this and we doing that. We are not in trouble. I'm telling y'all that without a shadow of a doubt, we are not in trouble. There are some relentless people that I see on a daily basis that God is raising up to do mighty things.
Glory.
God.
Yes.
So all those people that say we in trouble, we not in trouble. Just because it look a little different than it looked for y'all, I want y'all to know we not in trouble. We walking into something that's greater, more intense. And as this thing is starting to pass down to us, I want the older generations to just keep us in prayer. Knowing that the face of it might look a little different, but God is still the same. And he's going to do something so mighty and powerful through this generation. I'm telling y'all, I know some people that just got revival stored up in them. I mean, like, this is the generation of fire. Like, we are ready. We are brewing. We are ready to just go out there and be relentless and stop at nothing to get all that God called us to do. And so, that's all I got today.